Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Saumya, aka Pretty Paperback, and by the title of the video, you already know what this video is going to be about. Today, I am going to give you the ultimate book recommendation video on one of the most iconic romance trope, enemies to lovers. If there is one trope that can keep me up all night, giggling and kicking my feet into the air, it is this one. Somewhere that people usually love enemies to lovers trope because you show somebody your most unhinged side, your most questionable decision, the chaotic life choices, and still the other person decides to love you and fall for you and show up for you anyway. That is the kind of love story I want to read on repeat. This trope has all my heart. If the author tells me that their book has this trope, I am going to eat it all up like Rajma and Chawal, and I'm not kidding about it. So, without any further ado, let's get into the recommendations. The Hating Game by Sally Throne. The Hating Game by Sally Throne is set in publishing world featuring Lucy Hutton and Joshua Templeman. Lucy Hutton is a quirky, bubbly character who is friends with everybody and is a very nice and a kind and a warm person. But on the other hand, Joshua Templeman is a cold, mean, and impossible to read kind of a guy. They both are forced to work together because their publishing company have merged, and there is a lot of tension, sarcastic banter, and chemistry between the two. There was something, an incident that happened which changed the chemistry, but keeping in mind, I don't want to give you any spoilers, and this video is going to be spoiler free, by the way. I remember reading this book and giggling and kicking my feet into the air. I absolutely love this book, and this was my first romance book ever. Like before 2021, I was a non-fiction reader, and there was this one challenge in Valentine's week where you have to read 2 to 3 books from the romance genre, and I thought maybe let's give it a go. So I picked this one, and after reading this book, I kind of turned into a romance girly, and I have no regrets. A lot of chemistry, sarcastic banter, competition between the two until something happens, and that alter the chemistry of the relationship between the two. So if you want to give this book a go, you should. This is a beginner friendly book, and there is also a movie based on this book, and it was a fun watch for me. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren is the ultimate enemies to lovers book that you need to add in your TBR right away. It has fake dating and forced proximity. So our female protagonist Olive, she considers herself very unlucky, whereas her identical twin sister Amy, I guess that was her name, she considers herself very lucky, and she's marrying her love of her life, and she also won a fully paid honeymoon trip to a very exotic location. Talk about lucky. So on her wedding day, the twin sister Amy, along with all the guests, gets food poisoning. So the bride, the groom, and all the guests have the food poisoning except Olive and Ethan. So now Olive and Ethan takes that fully paid honeymoon trip, act like a couple, and there is lot of banter, chemistry between the two, and I really enjoyed reading this book. This was my first Christina Loren, and after reading this book, I kind of added her into my auto-buy author. And if you're someone who love enemies to lover and want to read something very light, then this book should be in your TBR right away. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Book Lovers by Emily Henry is one such book that I devoured in a day. I'm not even kidding. The chemistry between the two, the fun banter, the sarcastic comment, and the ending. So, this book kind of made me an Emily Henry fan, and I wish to read all her books. So, Book Lovers by Emily Henry features Nora Stephens and Charlie Lastre. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. So, Nora and Charlie both work in publishing world, so you get little hint and glimpse of publishing world. Nora, our female protagonist, she is very ambitious. She is very career driven. She do not see herself in small town. She want to settle in a big city where she can dream and you know have a career and be ambitious. And Charlie, on the other hand, is our grumpy male main character. So when Nora's sister drags her to a small town for a vacation, she happens to run in Charlie, and their fun, witty banter starts to seem like a flirting. So, you know what happened then. So, if you are an Emily Henry fan, then you will definitely enjoy it. And if you are not reading Emily Henry, what you are doing right? You need to pick this book right now. Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. Twisted Hate by Anna Huang is a part of Twisted series, and this book revolves around two characters, Josh Chan and Jules Ambrose. Josh is a grumpy male main character who is always mean to Jules, and Jules is our very bold, ambitious, career driven law student. And honestly, I love her vibe. If you have read Twisted series, you know what I'm talking about. They both have a serious grudge against each other and have hated each other for years. But when they are made to stay together, their hate towards each other turn into something else. So, if you like reading romance book, then you should definitely check out reading Twisted series. You might enjoy it because I did. Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter is a YA contemporary romance book. Enemies to lovers, childhood rivals to lovers, boy next door, fake dating. Like all the best tropes are in this book, guys. So you should pick it up ASAP. If you have read Lynn Painter or any of the Lynn Painter book, you know that it is very easy to get into her books. If you have never read a single book in your life and you want to start reading, you should start picking it up from Lynn Painter. Her writing is very easy, beginner friendly, and I usually love her story plot as well. So Liz is a kind of a person who thinks that life should roll out like a rom-com movie, and she consider herself to be the part of the movie, the main character energy, of course. So she is in love with the guy Michael, who is back in town after many years. She is in love with him and she wants to get his attention, but the only way she can attain his attention is through Wes Bennett. Wes Bennett is the grumpy next door neighbor who has nothing but always been mean to Liz. Liz and Wes has never gotten along, but they are kind of fake dating so that Michael could notice Liz. But soon Liz kind of start to realize that maybe her love of life is not Michael but is somebody else. So this book is filled with all the cutesy scenes, swoon-worthy romance, and fun banter as well. So, if you are into this trope and if you like reading YA books, then you might want to pick this book up. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood has a theme of STEM, enemies to lover, grumpy sunshine, all the best trope, right? So, when our female protagonist, Bree, who lives by the simple motto, what would Marie Curie would do, ends up at a internship at NASA, she was over the moon until she realized that her co-lead is no one else but Levy Ward. Levy Ward, who hated her in grad school, the same Levy Ward who ignored her existence in the grad school, that very same Levy Ward. We expected that Levy would sabotage her project, sabotage her existence, and kind of try to mansplain her everything. But it turns out that Levy was genuinely nice to her, helped her, stepped up for her. What is happening? So one day, Bree realizes that maybe Levy is in love with her all along. So this book is filled with fun banter, with a lot of chemistry. And if you are someone who loves to read romance books set in STEM, then you must pick this book up. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood is another book based on STEM, fake dating, ultimate enemies to romance, and with a lot of banter, academic banter. Elsie, our female protagonist, she is a theoretical physicist by the day and a fake girlfriend to hire by the night because academic doesn't pay the bills, right? So Elsie is carefully planning everything, balancing her career as a theoretical physicist and her bills as a fake girlfriend to hire. But it all comes to an end when the experimental physicist, Jack Turner Smith, enters the story. That infuriating Jack Turner Smith has ended the career of the mentor of Elsie, and the worst part, he is the brother of her favorite client. Elsie hates Jack, and Jack is weirdly very obsessed with Elsie. So when they both start to work together, the chemistry was impossible to ignore. In the middle, Elsie realizes that maybe Jack has something for her, and he is not the villain as she thought he was. And things happen. Not giving you any spoilers. So after that, I'll just I'll not say it. So you got to read this book. If you are someone who loves to read a book based in STEM with swoon-worthy romance, enemies to lovers, and you know, on a side note, if you are someone who wants to see Leonard and Sheldon fight between the experimental physicist and the theoretical physicist, but in a weirdly romantic way, then maybe you should pick this one, or maybe I shouldn't have said that. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey is Schitt's Creek inspired rom-com with enemies to lover and grumpy sunshine. So our female protagonist, Piper, she very much reminds me of Alexis from Schitt's Creek. She is rich, spoiled, brat who only wear designer dress and is an Instagram clout. So one night she ends up in trouble, aka jail. So her stepfather decides to punish her and send her to a very small town where she has to run a bar. That bar belongs to her late father, aka her nightmare. She never wanted to go to that small town and take care of anything. She is sort of an irresponsible person who never took on any responsibility. So, this was her ultimate nightmare, leaving her city life and go to a small town. But she's punished, so she needs to go. And when she went there, along with her sister tagged along, and she's a very supportive sister. So if you are someone who is also looking for a trope where sister support sister, then you might enjoy this series. So when she go to that town to take care of that bar, she meets Brendan, our male protagonist. So Brendan is a fisherman. He is very rude. He passed the judgment that she won't even last a week in that town. So they immediately get head on head. Brendan thinks that she's very shallow and she's not meant to take the real responsibility of life and everything, whereas Piper thinks that he's very rude and cold. But over the course of time, Piper proves everybody wrong, including herself, and this is when things change and Brendan starts to feel something towards Piper. And if you have read the story, you know, and if you haven't, you should know. Now, Brendan is that guy who never wanted Piper in that town. But as the story moves forward, he is that one guy who do not want Piper to leave that town. So this book is filled with funny banters, steamy romance, and enemies to lovers done right. So you should add this book in your TBR ASAP. So this story follows Chloe Green, who is studying in the private school of Alabama, and she is going to be the valedictorian. She is determined to be the valedictorian and beat her arch nemesis, Shara Wheeler. Shara Wheeler is a golden girl who has got all and everything under her control. But when Sarah mysteriously disappears, it is Chloe who is trying to find her with a trail of kisses that Shara has left behind. To find Sarah, Chloe is now friends with Jack. I guess that was his name. Sarah's boyfriend, and George, Sarah's next door rebellious neighbor. In the whole process of finding Sarah, Chloe starts to question whether she actually knew the real Sarah or she knew the Golden Girl Sarah. And there are a lot of things that she introspects and learn about herself as well as about Sarah. And it was a very fun introspective read for me. This book is filled with a lot of romance or romantic moments, BTQ rep, and an introspective read. You know, when you are reading about a character and you start to learn something about yourself as well. For me, this is one of those books. This book is perfect for people who likes to read memorable characters because Shara Wheeler and Chloe Green are a very memorable character, and the journey they take you through is very introspective. This was my first Casey McQuiston book, and to be very honest, after this book I kind of bought all the rest of the books by her, written by her, because I love the writing. And if you are someone who enjoy reading books with LGBTQ rep, little romantic moments, and with a little bit of introspective writing, then I recommend her book to you. Left Behind by Lucy Score is the third book in Knock Me Out series and one of my favorite book in the whole series. It has tropes like enemies to lovers, boy next door, childhood rivals to lovers to rivals, then grumpy sunshine, constant banter and bickering. One of those tropes that truly makes you fall in love with reading romance book and make you giggle at night. This is one of those books. So this book focuses on two people, Lucien and Ceylon. Lucien is a male main character who is brooding and cold and grumpy, who do not speak much, and has two best friends. If you have read first and the second book in the series, you will know. And he has his own complicated past to deal with, whereas Salon is like me, a reader who loves her books and also works in a library, the dream job. So Lucien and Salon has their own past and they are trying to overcome it. They try to avoid it, but with the constant tension, bickering, and the banter, they cannot. So the story moves forward with the constant bickering and the tension. They learn that their connection is sort of undeniable. Even if they try to keep the distance, there is something that draws them towards each other. This novel is filled with emotional depth, personal healing, and slow burn romance, making it perfect for the fans who are in love with this series and are ready to pick the third installment of Knock Me Out series. Before reading this book, you need to pick the two books, which is Things We Never Got Over and Things We Hide from the Light, and then only you can pick the third book because the story will make more sense to you. It can be read as a standalone, but I would recommend you to read the whole series because the story moves a little forward and you need to know the background of the villain as well to exactly learn why and what all these people are doing together. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you know, you know. So that's it for the video. And if you are planning to read any one of the books, make sure to check for the trigger warnings. And if you are picking book from my recommended videos, then do tag me on your Instagram story. I would love to see what you guys are reading so that we can talk about it after you finish reading it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you did, then make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And see you in the next video. Bye.